I'm excited for this one because check it out. Isn't this thing absolutely gorgeous? This one is by a company called Windone, and this is the E2 model. And as you can see, it has cafe racer looks, and it is absolutely drop dead gorgeous, and it's a really fun bike to ride, because the closest thing that I've ever tested out on this channel was the M20 from Angway. That bike is also like a cafe racer type of bike, and I was really missing those type of bikes, so I'm really happy to finally have this one, and I'm glad that Windone contacted me and asked me to review this for them, and of course I obliged. How could I not? First, let's talk about all the standard stuff that you would get with e-bikes these days, except on this bike it's a little bit different, and I'm going to talk to you about that as we ride off. First of all, it's got shocks in the front, pretty standard these days, and it's got a shock in the rear, although not standard. I would say half of the bikes I test rode on this channel has a rear shock and half of them don't, but fortunately, as you can see, this one has a rear shock that can also be adjusted with a wrench. So depending on your rider weight, of course you can always change that, make it more stiffer or softer, but I think it's at the softest setting at the moment, considering it's all the way at the bottom. At its highest point it's 34.1, and at its lowest point I believe it's somewhere around 31 inches. Don't quote me on that, I haven't done the math, but if you look at the front and you look at the back, it looks like a 2 or 3 inch difference. So unlike other bikes of this nature, this one only has a 500 watt motor. However, that being said, the peak output on this motor is 700 watts. I couldn't really tell that big of a difference, so if you'd lied to me and told me this was 700 watts, I would have probably believed you, because when you're riding this thing, the acceleration and how quickly it gets off the line and how fast it gets up to top speed was something that I was really surprised about, because I thought it was going to be underwhelming when I first got the bike, but fortunately I was really surprised by that. Pretty standard features you would get on this bike are 7-speed Shimano shifter over here, buttery smooth, and then of course let's not forget, you also get this really tricked out LCD screen. It's fully colored, and of course it has different functions over here. So this little button here turns on the light. Hopefully you guys can see it. It's way too bright right now, but this is an LED light, and at night this thing should really light things up. And then of course you have your pedal assist on the top, which is a plus, and then a minus, so you can go all the way to pedal assist number 5. But regardless, we're going to be talking about this stuff as we take off. And then of course you get these gigantic beefy front and rear tires, and it's really comfortable as well, because these fat tires provide a lot of dampening when you're riding. And as far as the battery is concerned, this battery is 13 amp hours, and at 13 amp hours, Windone says that this will do 46 miles on pedal assist. One thing I will mention is that this is the longest kickstand I have ever seen in my entire life. Check this thing out, and when you're leading the bike, it does have a more aggressive position. And then check this out, in the back it's got a license plate holder. Can you believe that? Crazy, isn't it? Speaking of license plate holder, right above that there's a tail light, so when you turn on the bike, the tail light will turn on. And sorry about that guys, it's really sunny today, but I think you can see the tail light. Let me see if I can use the brakes. There it is. I don't know if you guys can see that, but that's the tail light right there. So anytime you use your brakes, and of course it is going to be on just a little bit, but you can see it definitely a lot whenever it's nighttime. Anyway, let's go ahead and swing a leg over this thing. Swinging a leg over this, it reminds me very much of riding a motorcycle. If this is your first time tuning in and checking out my videos, I have another channel and it's called Petrolhead. I ride motorcycles, and this bike is the closest thing next to the M20 that I've ridden that reminds me of a motorcycle. There's a motorcycle called the ZX6R. It's a sport bike and it's a track weapon, and the positioning on that motorcycle is something that reminds me of this bike here. So it's got a fairly aggressive position, as you can see. If you're looking for long commutes, I think you have to be in good shape in order to ride this bike, because it is an aggressive position. You're not exactly upright on this bike unless you have like seriously long arms. So that's one thing I will mention. You got to be in good shape, fellas and fell women. Is that even a thing? Let's just call them ladies and gents. You got to be in good shape. How about that? More politically correct, I guess. But anyway, as far as the ride comfort is concerned, as I mentioned before, this thing is equipped with a front and rear suspension. So As far as comfort is concerned, this is probably up there in terms of comfort. I would give this a solid 9 in comfort. Like, really, really, really comfortable suspension. We'll go ahead and take it off-road. And by off-road, I mean on the grass. That dude is hilarious. There's another e-bike rider right there. I've ridden bikes on the grass before, and it doesn't offer the same type of comfort as this one does. But anyway, as far as pedaling this bike is concerned, pedal assist is number 4. I just bumped it up to level 5. One thing I will mention, a negative I guess I can say, is that although I have this all the way at gear number 7, let me even see if it's in 7th gear or not before I say the next thing I'm going to say. Because sometimes it's in 7th gear, but really hasn't kicked in yet. Yeah, so it's in 7th gear at the moment, as you can see. And now, with confidence, I can say this much. When you're doing, let's go ahead and get to the speed that I was going to talk about. Okay, when you're getting to 22 miles an hour and above, lots of dead pedaling. Like, you're pedaling, but your pedaling does nothing. There are other e-bikes where even up to the top speed of the bike, top speed sometimes is 28, on other bikes it's 30, 32, which we're going to get to on this bike as well, so stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, what's up, bro? But in the meantime, at 22 miles an hour, pedaling means absolutely nothing for this bike, because at 22 miles an hour it's kind of like dead pedaling, and the best way I can describe dead pedaling is that there's no torque in the gears. However, with the thumb throttle we're going to test out right now. 24 miles an hour, 25 miles an hour, 26 miles an hour, 27 miles an hour, 27.9, 28 miles an hour. Let's see if we can do some pedaling, see if we can increase that number. 28.5, 28.6. All right, so it'll do a top speed of 28.5 miles per hour, regardless if you're pedaling very quickly or using pure power. And by pure power, I'm talking about electric power. No pedaling involved, just smashing on the throttle, giving it the full beans, and seeing what it can do. All right, so now there's a lot of gravel here, and dirt, and rocks, and pebbles. We're going to see what the off-road capabilities is of this bike. Let's go ahead and see what she's about. Oh yeah, nice brakes. That was the rear brake right there. So you're out somewhere like this, definitely great off-road capability. And as I mentioned before, this thing is super comfortable, man. Whoa. Never use. So they got it kind of backwards here. The front brake is controlled by the right lever, and the rear brake is controlled by the left lever. And that's completely the opposite when you're riding motorcycles. So I just slammed on the front brakes without even knowing it. When you're on dirt and you slam on the front brakes, that can cause trouble, because your bike can lose traction. So be careful with that. But yeah, the same thing could apply when you're using your rear brakes, because they can kind of fishtail, or otherwise known as oversteer. As far as off-road capabilities of this bike, lots of traction, 20 miles an hour, and this thing is got super amounts of traction. Very impressive, guys. So if you're buying this bike to do trails and all that good stuff, yeah, you're in for a treat. Let's just say that. Now, as far as the battery is concerned, my battery's fully topped off before this ride. I made sure I charged it up 100%. So I've already done about 2 miles on the bike, but when we're done from this test ride, I'll let you guys know how many miles we've ridden and if any of the battery bars are lower than when we started. But anyway, you see this long hill going up right now. On camera, you probably can't see it, but we're going to be going up this hill and doing a hill climb test right now. And I've done this on other bikes, but I'm really curious what this one's going to do with 500 watts of power. Is it going to struggle, or is it going to continue to go up and up and up? Let's see. Just one thing I completely forgot to mention, guys. This bike weighs a hefty 95 pounds. Right now I'm not pedaling with it, and it's doing 18 miles an hour going up this hill. So carrying me as well as 95 pounds. So we're talking over 250 pounds here. Let's see what this thing is going to be able to do. So we got 13 miles an hour. It's struggling, guys. 12 miles an hour, 12.6, 12.5. Already 1 bar down on the battery meter. But it's a lithium iron battery, or ion. I don't know exactly which chemistry it is. It could be the same, who knows. But this battery meter, I think when we come back down, it's going to go back up to 5 bars. That's the way these lithium batteries are usually run. But whoa, hold on a second. 12.6 miles per hour, 12.7 miles per hour, 12.8, 12.9, 13, 13.1. Huh? 13.3. Now it's going back down. 12.9, 12.8. That must have been like a dip, and then it goes back up. Anyway, we're going back down now. 12.2, 12.3. But here's the thing, guys. I'm still very impressed. Come on, think about this. 95 pounds. You got me sitting on top of it, which is another 135 pounds. Okay? So we're talking like 230 pounds right there. And it's got a 500 watt motor. So we're doing 11.6 at the current moment, and I'm going to pedal assist, and we're going to see how fast we can go with pedal assist. And I'm going to let go of the power. So now this is pure pedal assist on number 5. Okay? 13.7 miles per hour, 14 miles per hour, 14.6, 14.8, 15.6. So you see what I mean? Like in the beginning of this video, I said I'm really surprised that this is only a 500 watt motor with a 700 watt peak, and it performs the way it does as far as acceleration and as far as getting all the way up to top speed. I was very, very surprised. And now with this hill climb test, kind of like made me feel a whole lot more confident on the bike, considering how well it passed that test. Because that's a really steep incline, and I've brought other bikes over there. I brought other bikes that were 700 watt, 1000 watts, 700 watts, and 1000 watts, and they struggled. Like the last e-bike that I brought up here, it was a 1000 watt, 26-inch tire juggernaut, and it struggled to go up that hill. If you watch that video, you'll see that it did somewhere around the same speed. But I was like thinking to myself, because it's got a 1000 watt motor, this should go a lot faster than that. But anyway, now we're going back downhill at the moment, and I think that battery bar is going to go back up to 5 bars. But let's go ahead and test out the downhill capabilities. I have both hands on the brakes at the moment. The brakes are fully hydraulic, which makes me feel very, very confident about them. But we're doing 43 miles an hour. Holy crap. Yeah. Guys, this is like a super stable bike, man. At 43 miles an hour, if I didn't look down at the speedometer, I would have just let it kept going. But because I looked at the speedometer, I used my brakes to slow myself down just a tad. But damn, that's really, really impressive, guys. At 43 miles an hour, it was this stable. Wow. Not even the 1000 watt 26-inch tire e-bike that I test rode last time, not even that one was as smooth as this going down that hill. I think at like 35 to 38 miles an hour, I felt skittish. So I braked really quickly to slow myself down. But guys, thoroughly impressed by the performance of this e-bike. And for $899, considering how cool this bike is, and 500 watt motor is not something that you should pass off. Like, oh, this bike only has 500 watts. Who cares? It doesn't really matter for this bike. I think the wattage is something that should be verified by everyone who buys an e-bike these days. How do you really know that it's a 700 watt motor? Just because it says 700 watts in the manual, is it really 700 watts? So who's really telling the truth? Is it this company or the other companies? Not really sure. But anyway, the comfort of this bike, as I talked about, amazing. Hill climb test, freaking awesome. Brakes, hydraulic, freaking awesome. Let's go ahead and test them out one more time. We're gonna stop before we hit the garbage can here. Woo! Yeah, the front suspension on this thing dipped all the way down. Oh, you see where the suspension dipped? Look, right to this line it went down. Wow, that's crazy. So great suspension, great brakes. Obviously, I used both the front and the rear. I didn't check how fast I was going, but I was probably going about 20 miles an hour. Let's go ahead and give that a try one more time. And as you can see, I got a lot of confidence on the brakes for it to stop me. I could be breaking a leg right now if these brakes fail. Yeah, so this time we're going to do it against the curb. If I fall off the curb, that's okay. There you go. That's how you do it. Yeah, I probably don't recommend, for the first time riding a bike and testing out its brakes against a garbage can like that. Things can go really badly wrong. Yeah. Another thing I usually do on these test rides is test the maneuverability. Let's go ahead and test that out and see what that's like. Alright, so let's check this out. So this, I told you guys, this is a really sporty bike. So does it also have sporty characteristics? How does it turn? So as you can see, this thing turns really well. Really, really well. Yeah. I'm impressed, man. I'm impressed. I'm really, really impressed. And don't think that I'm just like trying to make this company look good. Honestly, guys, I ride a lot of e-bikes and they don't really pay me. Regardless if I say something good or bad, it doesn't really matter to anyone. What I really care about is just being honest with you guys. But anyway, alright, so 6 miles on the odometer. I got 4 bars left. Before I started, it was 5 bars. And one other thing I can say is that whenever you're holding the brakes, this has an electronic brake system, I think, because it says BR on the left hand side. When I let go of the brakes, the BR sign disappears. So that's pretty cool that everything is connected into the electronics. As I mentioned, guys, I'm super, super impressed with this bike. Let's go ahead and put this piece back. The shocks work sensational. The rear and the front give this thing a really plush ride. As far as acceleration and as far as top speed, bang on. It couldn't be better than this for 500 watts. I was thoroughly impressed with that uphill climb. One thing I'm not sure about is what is in here, because all the electronics, like the speed control and everything, is inside the seat. So I'm really not sure what's inside here. But anyway, guys, I really, really recommend this for $899. Come on, you can't really beat this. So if you guys are interested in purchasing this bike, I'll leave a link down below to Windone's website. And stay tuned for the next one. I'll see you guys later. Peace.